now and then you probably will run into a situation where you need to replace the blades on your pruners. So in this video, we're going to show you how to replace the blades on a BAHCO pruning shear. So this is the BAHCO PXR L2 pruner. It runs about 50 bucks or so. You can get it on Amazon. And replacement blades for this, for both the cutting blade and the counter blade are available. You can get them 18, 19, 20 bucks a piece, really. Now this is Jack's favorite pruner. I like ARS, so you know we have a little bit of a disagreement over that one. Pruner war. But he's going to show us exactly how to take this apart and then put it back together again so that it actually works. So what do you start with, Jack?
Okay, what we're going to start with here is, first we're going to start with the tools. Ideally you'd have a set of what are called Torx wrenches, but you can use a regular screwdriver. The nice thing about the pruner itself is it's designed to accommodate a regular screwdriver or an actual Torx wrench itself, which will go right
so a
inside.
Torx is that star-shaped thing,
It's
right?
a star shape, yes. So what we want to do is we basically want to take all of these nuts and all these bolts basically out of here.
So Jack's taken all the screws out, which means basically the handles are now disattached. One of the nice things is that all the screws are the same, these screws, so you don't have to worry about which one goes where. They're all going to be the same. So put those someplace safe so you don't lose them. And what you've got left now is the whole cutting mechanism. So what do you do next, Jack?
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take out this particular locking mechanism here, and then we're going to take off the main bolt assembly. Okay, so that, make sure that you keep all these parts separated. What you'll notice here is that we talked about the handle screws. That's very different from this locking screw here. You can actually see. So keep these separate. Okay, then what you're going to do is you're going to come in here. This actually happens to be an 11 millimeter metric wrench. You can use an adjustable wrench, but I find having the exact size open-end wrench is a lot easier than having an adjustable wrench. So we'll take this completely off. Okay, so now you have a nut and you have a bolt. One of the things that we discovered is that this particular bolt that goes through the cutting blades was very difficult to get out. So what we recommend is just take a handle of a screwdriver.
Don't lose it.
That's right. And give it a tap. Or you could use a piece of wood. Now we've got the cutting blade here and the anvil blade here. So as Monica was saying, you can buy both blades at the Pruner's warehouse for about $18, $19. So there you have it. You can also, at this point, if you wanted to, it's very easy to sharpen, this particular blade if you wanted to. But if you've got big nicks in it and those kinds of things, it's much better off to just buy a brand new blade. And that's true of the counter blade as well. You want to oil and clean these surfaces here. You can actually see that there's a lot of buildup of dirt. Sometimes you get rust in there and those kinds of things. So a nice piece of steel wool to clean off all this is great. And then a lubricant, you can use grease or you can use a lubricant like a WD-40. Okay, so let's get this thing back together. Okay, so it took a little fiddling to get the bolt back in here on this particular brand of pruner. Okay, I'd give it a little bit of a wrap with a end of a screwdriver. Okay, so now we have the actual bolt through the blade and the counter blade. Then we take this particular nut that came with the unit and we screw that on. And we'll talk about blade and anvil blade tension here in a minute in terms of how tight you want to get these things. Question is, this locking screw is not put back into the actual blade assembly until the very end. You want to put the handles back on so that you can get the actual proper tension between the blades. So this is the last piece that you're actually going to put in. The next thing we're going to do is put the handles on. Okay, and my suggestion here is to not fully tighten that particular screw until you get the other screw in here, just to make sure that it fits properly. You'll also notice too that this has basically a nut, which is sort of an interesting shape to it that won't actually come out, but you actually have to keep these things pushed in when you're putting in the screw itself.
It's kind of a nice feature about the BAHCOs though, because this isn't letting dirt in and stuff like that. Some of the other pruners, that other end, the bolt sticks through and can poke you and catch on things.
That's very true. Okay, so we'll snug these two up. Then we'll put on the other side. And this is a tricky part because you've got to get the spring in here and also the blades lined up. Okay, so you got to get the spring, the handle, everything lined up. And here's your place where you're going to put your screws. It's a little tricky because you got to hold everything together with your thumb, because the pruners want to just literally spring apart, no pun intended.
That's where having a second person to help comes in handy.
Beautiful. Okay. That's why ideally having a Torx wrench is really nice for these particular set of pruners. A screwdriver, it works fine, but a Torx wrench works better. Okay, so now what you can do is you can sock these things down on both sides. And now we're going to set our actual tension between the blades. What you don't want to do is have the blades are actually rattling back and forth now. That's not what you want to have in a proper pruning situation. So take your wrench and start tightening up the pruner until you take the play out of this, but not so tight that if I really tighten this thing up, they will actually, the spring, it works against the spring. You don't want that.
Well, the two blades are jammed together, right? You
Yeah,
can't
they
even
are,
cut anything.
exactly. You couldn't cut anything. You cut one cut. That's it. So you want to back this thing off just a little bit. It's more of a feel kind of thing. And again, you want to take the handles and make sure that there's no play in between the blades. You can also do this, but then again, be very, very careful that you don't cut yourself on the blade there. I'm going to go just a tad tighter on this. Let's see, we'll test that out. Yep, that feels good. Okay, and the final piece is that we're going to put this little lock nut in here. It's kind of tricky. You've got to find that one little spot. Okay. So you can see that this lock nut locks the main locking bolt, and it's really a nice feature to have so that your pruners don't come apart on you. Okay, so we've got that locked in. And this particular model has a rotating handle, which is nice to keep calluses from developing in your hands. And we've got a fully assembled pruner.
Hope you enjoyed this video showing how to replace the blades on the BAHCO pruner. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel. There's a box right down there. And you can also find a review of these pruners right on our website at gardeningproductsreview.com.
You want the number again?
No,
PXRL2?
that's okay. So you can always subscribe there to find more information, and